I'll give folks a second to get on. Okay, giving y'all a minute or two to get ready for class, to make sure that you're here for class, for class. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Um, Now I do need to find, I'm gonna do this while it's sending you guys a notification. Oh, I still haven't been approved for TikTok streaming through here, unfortunately. Can add this little thingy here. I was going to try to figure out how to Oh Lord. I know I was concerned. Oh my Lord, that is so funny. Okay, a little music on for you guys. Oh, I didn't realize this is what it was. Actually, I might have to switch to music without words. Hey, folks. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm trying to fix TikTok Live. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Okay. I actually literally forgot to go live on TikTok. I'm just sitting here jamming. Um, so apparently it escaped my brain. Okay. Sorry, this thing is not cooperating. Okay, I'm just waiting for this to upload to actually let me like go live on TikTok. It's not loading my little photo that goes on the top, but it's gonna be short today. So, oh, sorry. When you guys actually show up, it's so sweet. Very sweet. Okay. Why isn't this letting me download? We're just jamming. I can't get this to work. Oh my god. At this point, it's just throwing a fit. It's always when you don't want things to act up that they act up. Oh my god, the whole thing is just not going to cooperate. Thank you. Jesus. Okay, there we go. I would just forego the picture, but I've learned a lot of people actually like having a little picture in the corner when I'm live on there. Nope, it's still not cooperating. Okay, forget it. I didn't even think anybody cared, and then people said that they love it. No, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Unfortunately, this is just like one of those things. It's okay. I'll just pick a random picture. Oop. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, it added a filter. Why did it add a filter? How do I turn the filter off? I don't want a filter on. Okay, hold on. How do I how do I turn the filter off? There we go. I turned it off. Lovely. Oh my God, I did not know that I could add on. Oh my God, we're learning all sorts of stuff today. I did something. I want to figure out why am I standing this far away from my phone? Okay. All right, y'all. I'm gonna pause this music. Okay, so I feel like folks are still trying to hop on here, but we've got to get going. So I will be ending this probably like 5 minutes early. We'll be ending like 7:55 because I am doing a debate on the Shade Room TikTok talking about Trump's economic everything. So yeah, the automatic filters is like so I will be on there after this. We're doing a screening today. It took me a few minutes to get going, and I know that folks were taking a second to hop on. So I will screen the second half of it. I don't know, maybe tomorrow or after the debate, um, because it's really, really good. So, long story short, a lot of people have been talking about, like, generally speaking, how the world is essentially ending according to them, and how democracy is dead, how we are no longer going to have any type of democratic institution, all of these different things because of what Trump is doing. And obviously, this is a class about resistance. But what I realized is a lot of people do not understand the historical necessities, especially when we're talking about the economic effects and repercussions of what a president does. And so, as I was looking and trying to figure out, how do I want to do this, I came across the CNN special by Fareed Zakaria, and it was brilliant. I didn't get to finish it, but I was like, this is brilliant because it dives into how, for example, like, Reagan did the equivalent of what Trump is doing now by bringing in a very wealthy person who he put in charge of a version of something like Doge that made cuts, that made people mad. It's that kind of thing. So having historical context is how we move forward and do anything. So I will be turning this on. Those of you on TikTok, I'm going to turn the camera around. Hopefully you won't have any issues seeing. Let me know if it looks bad and I'll find a way to fix it because I don't have like another way to do it. So and again, always drop any questions. I'll be sitting here. So drop your questions in the chat. I'll probably pause it at a couple of points where I feel like some extra insight is needed. Again, TikTok, let me know. If you don't like the way it looks, let me know. I'll try and figure something else out. I don't yet currently have the capabilities to go live on my computer for TikTok. I've applied and they have not said yes to me. So, and yes, they did get Harriet's information back on the website, but I was told it was piped down. I meant to make a video on this yesterday, and then I had to finish an assignment for my grad class that took me 4 times longer than it should have. So we'll dive into that too. I'm gonna do a live about that tomorrow. I'll pick a time to schedule it because ultra important. Okay, all right, let me get this started. Okay. Play a video from your computer. What? Oh, I could have uploaded the video ahead of time. You guys, I feel like every single day I learn more about this thing. Literally every single day. Oh my goodness. Okay. There we go. I'll make my face tiny in the corner. Oh, wait, I got rid of my face by accident. Hold on. I don't know how to make this slightly bigger. I mean, you guys don't necessarily need to see my reaction because I'm going to be sitting here typing and other things. All right. Let me make sure the audio is going to share as well. with the screen share. Those of you on YouTube, I'm going to do a quick test really quickly and play it and see if the audio is sharing. So let me know in a second.
Anytime it's just said these tariffs are going to harm the whole world.
Okay. Okay, could you guys hear that you guys could hear it? Okay, I don't know how to turn it up louder. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if there's like I guess you're just going to have to like turn it up unreasonably loud on you guys' end. So, okay, let me know if there are any issues, please. Back to starting. Okay.
Is the little
Okay, hold on. You
After
guys
all,
said the video is
there-
choppy without sound. Ugh. Okay, I'm going to see if I can play it this way. This might be better. Hold on. And I'll start it over. How do I do this? Oh, cool. So I can also share a link for people to watch it directly. Because if you don't have, what's it called, then you won't be able to see it as well. So hold on. Okay. Let me switch my screen sharing. Okay, if I do screen share, actually, hold on. How do I? We're always learning on here, guys. Ooh!
America has over 3,000 nuclear warheads, each capable of unleashing Armageddon. The government agency that keeps them safe is the little-known National Nuclear Security Administration, part of the Department of Energy. It contains their radiation, prevents their plutonium from being stolen, and makes sure they don't detonate by accident. But in February 2025, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, fired nearly 1/5 of the agency's workforce, despite strong resistance from nuclear officials. It took frantic calls from Republican congressmen to reverse many of the cuts. But the agency was still on its heels after the episode.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Ever since Mr. Musk went to Washington, chaos has been the order of the day.
Mr. Musk, what is Doge?
In the beginning, there was bipartisan support for Doge, from Rand Paul to Bernie Sanders. After all, there is plenty of waste to clean up in Washington, and everyone loves efficiency. But Doge and the Trump administration appear to be about something else.
Sweeping layoffs across several agencies.
The cuts may be deep and widespread.
Massive job cuts have hit the Centers for Disease Control.
This includes people who have very specialized knowledge.
Chaos and confusion reign at the National Institutes of Health.
People think USAID is cutting funding to other countries.
It's happening right here in my city.
And the gutting of an entire agency, USAID,
60% of the budget goes to humanitarian emergencies.
has put millions of lives at risk.
Chainsaw!
Most striking is the theater of cruelty of it all, and anger, and an intent to do harm. We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected, top Trump official Russell Vought has said. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains.
Elon Musk!
What explains all of this rage against government?
This is a real battle. Yeah!
The determination not to improve it,
Massive, overwhelming sweep.
but to burn it all down.
Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
To understand, we need to go back and tell the story of the war on government.
Welcome to a special hour on the American conservative movement's battle to roll back government. I'm Fareed Zakaria. The founder of modern conservatism, Edmund Burke, said that statesmen should combine a disposition to preserve and an ability to improve. We're seeing something very different in today's Republican Party. There's been a rage on the right against government that's been building for decades. For almost 90 years, Republican leaders have promised their conservative voters over and over again that they would roll back the growing federal government, making it small enough to drown it in the bathtub, as one activist once put it. They made stirring speeches. They raised people's hopes. But every time they got into power, they failed to deliver.
As E.J. Dionne illustrates in his book, Why the Right Went Wrong, the repeated failures to actually shrink government were for hardline conservatives a great betrayal, yielding anger and greater radicalism with each shattered promise.
Our story begins with the first great betrayal, that of a war hero who became president, Dwight David Eisenhower.
Loud cheers by those who like Ike.
In the 1950s, everybody liked Ike. General Eisenhower had led America to victory in the Second World War.
You have summoned me to lead a great crusade for freedom in America and freedom in the world.
Winning the presidency in a landslide in 1952.
We must be willing, individually and as a nation, to accept whatever sacrifices may be required of us.
He was the first Republican in the White House since Herbert Hoover.
The president has been transported back to his desk in the Capitol,
giving hardcore conservatives high hopes that he would achieve their long-held dream, ending the New Deal.
It was the beginning of the worst calamity the United States economy had ever known.
In the 1930s, at the height of the Great Depression,
banks closed, millions were put out of work.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed the most ambitious legislative agenda in American history.
It is a call to arms. I pledge myself to a new deal for the American people.
It created vast federal programs to get Americans back on their feet.
You people must have faith. Together, we cannot fail.
They were going to try almost everything and anything to try to get this country sort of stood up again and working, and they did.
We can put people back to work.
The New Deal transformed the country, and it left a legacy of bridges, buildings, and parks, over 500,000 miles of roads, and the nation's first real safety net, Social Security. 78% of America's seniors lived in poverty in 1939. In the decades that followed, that number fell to 10%.
But for the right, the New Deal was the dawn of big government, an expansion of federal power and bureaucracy that had never been seen before.
In quick succession, the Supreme Court invalidated law after law.
The right-wing Supreme Court declared New Deal laws unconstitutional, but it reversed course.
We must take action to save the Constitution from the court.
After FDR threatened to add justices to the court.
He tried to enlarge the court with justices of his own choosing.
The Supreme Court of the United States was controlled by a conservative, indeed libertarian, property-protecting majority.
The Social Security Act is democratic as America itself.
And much to conservatives' consternation,
No worries, comfort and security in their old age.
programs like Social Security became enormously popular as the years passed.
Fight for president.
But in the 1952 presidential campaign, it looked like the New Deal's days could be numbered.
One day in every 4. You don't work for yourself or your family. You work for the federal or other government. Now don't tell me you like that.
Candidate Eisenhower called New Deal programs creeping socialism and said if Americans pined for free meals and housing, they could get them in jail.
In the effort to achieve an understanding,
Yet when the candidate became president, he did an about-face,
I say it is so serious that we just cannot.
knowing that reversing the New Deal would be political suicide. Should any party attempt to abolish Social Security, he wrote, you would not hear from that party again in our political history.
So instead of eliminating big government, Ike would try to make it smarter with a new approach that he called the middle way.
Government should support the little fellow, Ike said. It should combine a liberal attitude toward the welfare of people and a conservative approach to the use of their money.
Efficiently coordinating all the government's efforts.
So Ike started a new federal agency, the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare.
We are determined to improve and extend the federal program of Social Security.
And he actually expanded Social Security to an additional 10 million people.
The President of the United States acting for you.
Perhaps the crown jewel of the Middle Way was Ike's interstate highway system.
The bill marked the beginning of the largest construction project in the history of the world.
Over 40,000 miles of new roads, a big boost to the economy.
Billions of dollars will be spent for city streets and expressways.
Mostly paid for by a gas tax, with only a minor price tag for the Treasury. Ike's Middle Way was broadly popular, but to die-hard conservatives, it was a big government betrayal.
Good evening. Our distinguished guest for this evening is the Honorable Barry Goldwater.
Especially to an Arizona senator named Barry Goldwater.
You think there are too many government controls from Washington, too many federal controls?
The federal government has gotten big. It's gotten too big.
In 1960, he published The Conscience of a Conservative, which became the right's Bible for decades to come.
I accept your nomination with a deep sense of humility.
Goldwater preached no-holds-barred conservatism, with no compromise and no New Deal. I have little interest in streamlining government or making it more efficient, he wrote, for I mean to reduce. President Eisenhower, in Goldwater's eyes, was a turncoat, offering little more than a dime store New Deal.
Moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue.
Goldwater was considered radical by many Republicans at the time.
Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
He called his supporters to be extremists, to be radicals. Was it a watershed moment in America? Yes, it was.
Goldwater won the Republican nomination for president in 1964.
Go, Goldwater, let's go, Goldwater, let's go for honest leadership.
But in November,
The voice of the people was heard in the land.
the Democratic candidate Lyndon Johnson triumphed
An overwhelming mandate is handed to Lyndon Baines Johnson.
in one of the biggest presidential landslides ever.
Ours is a time of change.
President Johnson saw a wealthy nation in which 1 in 5 were poor.
And this administration declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
He declared a war on poverty, calling his agenda the Great Society.
The Great Society is one of the most ambitious agendas that modern America has ever seen.
I want economic opportunity to be spread across this land, north, south, east, and west, to all people.
A flurry of legislation followed.
Food stamps, Medicaid, federal education assistance, environmental measures pass at this dizzying speed.
More jobs!
But the linchpin of Johnson's war on poverty was Medicare. Before 1965, many of America's seniors lacked any health care coverage.
A disproportionate amount are entering into poverty because they are unable to pay for their medical bills.
The scene of an historic event.
But with Johnson's signature, America vowed for the first time to take care of all of its elderly. By the time LBJ left office, poverty had fallen dramatically. Meanwhile, government spending on the poor had doubled.
Richard Nixon.
Conservatives had high hopes that Johnson's successor, the hard-right Richard Nixon, would finally put the brakes on the sprawling federal state.
For the past 5 years, we have been deluged by government programs, and we have reaped from these programs an ugly harvest.
But the tough-talking Nixon turned out to be mainstream in office. On some economic issues, left of center. He actually added to Washington's alphabet soup, creating the EPA to protect the environment and OSHA to assure worker safety. It was yet another big government betrayal by one of the right's own. Conservatives were livid.
Richard Nixon looks a lot like a dime store New Deal.
Ronald Reagan, on the other hand, seemed like the real deal.
It is clear our federal government is overgrown and overweight.
And by 1981,
The President of the United States!
conservatives believed it was finally their chance to dismantle big government.
You had this sense of real triumph, a breakthrough. Certainly the reforms of the 60s and 70s, they are going to be rolled back. American society was going to change in some very fundamental ways.
Or so conservatives thought.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
That story, next.
At the UPS Store, we offer a lot because running a small business takes a lot. That's why we're the Help Protect Your Privacy store and the Give Your Business a Real Street Address store. So while you're juggling everything else like the boss you are, we're the extra pair of hands store. You can count on us as the shredding and mailboxing, anything and everything to keep you going store. Get $5 off shredding services. Visit the upsstore.com/shred and shred today.
Oh, our car's value went up.
Maybe we should track all our cars' value on Carvana. We need more trackers.
Ooh, I'm getting a value update. Do you see which one is going up?
How's it tracking?
Some dips, some rises. Now what? Hold.
Sold. Track your car's value on Carvana today.
Taking a stand for investors.
Here's hope the new
Business can add up fast. And with the free Milo's Rewards membership, your earnings add up fast too. Earn points toward Milo's money, get member-only deals, and free shipping. Join for free and get more with Lowe's.
You're stuck in this so-called job for how long?
Till hell runs out of demons, seems like.
Did you take our son along for a demon fight yesterday?
I'm just trying to do something nice here.
As he took
Now, the
the
Reagan
oath of
section
office
is
in
probably one of the most important
1981,
sections.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear.
Ronald Reagan began his big crusade against government.
So help me God. I congratulate you, sir.
He believed an ever-growing federal bureaucracy was stifling the American people,
Thank you.
culminating in the malaise of the Carter years.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Reagan's solution? The most radical attempt to downsize government since the New Deal.
Ronald Reagan. His supporters hope the new FDR of the right.
He would not waste any time. Before he even left the Capitol, Reagan signed an executive order to freeze all hiring in the federal government. Conservatives' hopes were sky high. But in the end, the Reagan Revolution would fall far short. Big government got even bigger. And many hardcore conservatives once again felt betrayed.
The Reagan archives are filled with memos and letters from prominent activists complaining that Reagan is selling them out.
Reagan was sincere in his efforts to roll back government. "I'm trying to undo the Great Society," he boldly wrote in his diary. And try he did.
President Reagan's budget-cutting blade is hanging over the federal government.
Food stamps, Medicare, and Medicaid saw painful cuts in his first year. To save money on the school lunch program, ketchup was briefly classified as a vegetable. In just 3 years, homelessness doubled as federal dollars for housing and mental health services dried up.
It's supposed to be the land of opportunity. It's not anymore. It's for the land for the rich, and the poor can go to hell.
But when Reagan took aim at one of the government's biggest expenses, Social Security, he was immediately denounced by both Democrats and Republicans.
He promised there would be no Social Security cuts, and the darn guy's lied already. I'll never vote for him again.
Just 1 week later, Ronald Reagan had to back down. The reason conservatives have had such a hard time cutting government programs over the years is because Americans generally like them. 79% of Americans opposed cutting Social Security in 1981. Changing tactics, the pragmatic Reagan cut a deal with Democrats to keep Social Security solvent.
He agrees to a package that includes tax increases, which is anathema to Reagan and to the conservative movement.
On the hunt for any other ways to cut costs, Reagan created the Doge of the 1980s, the Grace Commission.
My name is Peter Grace, and
Peter Grace was a wealthy corporate titan who convinced the president to empower outside advisors to root out government waste. Sound familiar?
Be bold. We want your team to work like tireless bloodhounds. $424 billion.
The commission claimed it could save the country hundreds of billions of dollars with its nearly 2,500 recommendations. But most of the proposals went nowhere.
The Grace Commission concludes that most of these things can only be done through congressional maneuvering. And what happens? Congress says absolutely not.
Even the most right-wing Republicans had zero interest in voting against money for their home state.
Republicans warned the president that he'll have to make some compromises.
Today, Doge and Donald Trump don't seem too concerned about Congress.
The idea of the Constitution and guardrails and the three branches of government, that seems to have evaporated.
After failing to dramatically curb spending in his first term, Reagan largely gave up trying in his second. His disillusioned budget director resigned.
We have conducted the greatest free lunch fiscal policy of modern times. There he is.
Much to hardcore conservatives' dismay, Reagan may have talked like an ideologue, but he governed like a pragmatist.
Reagan could do both. He was ideologically committed, but he also understood the job of governing, and he's constantly compromising with the Democrats.
Reagan left office declaring victory.
Ours was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government, and with three little words: we the people.
But by the numbers, the Reagan Revolution was much more rhetoric than reality. He added over 300,000 federal workers during his 8 years in office, by one count. And the federal budget surged nearly 70%, thanks in part to Reagan's massive defense spending. Roosevelt's New Deal was still there. Johnson's Great Society was still there. And the big dreams of putting an end to big government had just been dashed.
When Reagan left office, not having radically transformed America, conservatives became more ready for a story of betrayal.
A new generation of Republicans would rise up to tear government down.
I am a genuine revolutionary.
With more radical tactics and goals than Reagan ever dreamed of. That is next.
I get chills just thinking about it.
Come on. Poisoned? Seriously?
Lowe's knows you want the top deals on our best brands. And now with Bytes...
Dude, I hope that...
Photo on your phone?
It's actually 21 subscriptions.
1994.
It's actually 21 subscriptions, which is costing you around $370 a month.
And the app is telling you all this?
Rocket Money shows you all your expenses in one place and even helps you suggest a budget based on your past spending. Don't worry about the 21 subscriptions. You can cancel them right within the app. It'll even try and get you some of your money back.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
If you or a loved one have mesothelioma, we'll send you a free book to answer questions you may have. Call now and we'll come to you.
800-821-4000.
November 8th, 1994.
We're going to get our country back.
A day for the history books.
The Clinton Congress is taking a pounding tonight.
Thank you.
A watershed moment for Republicans, who captured both chambers of Congress for the first time since the Eisenhower administration. 54 seats flipped in the House, 8 seats flipped in the Senate. A historic landslide.
The Republican Party is writing another chapter in American political history.
Leading the party was Congressman and soon-to-be Speaker Newt Gingrich.
This is truly a wildly historic night. I mean, this is just...
And Gingrich intended to parlay that historic night into a historic term.
Gingrich in 94 and 95 after he wins is really perceived as one of the most significant Republicans in the country. He's not president, but it was almost as if he had become president.
His goal? Nothing short of ending Lyndon Johnson's Great Society programs like Medicare once and for all, and achieving what Ronald Reagan had hoped for but failed to do. Gingrich believed that the federal safety net was a threat to Western civilization.
I have no interest in running a cheap welfare state that destroys lives.
But Newt's war on government would be foiled by perhaps the most talented politician of his generation, who bet his ailing presidency on his belief that Americans did not want their government dismantled. He won. Gingrich had been preparing for a showdown over the safety net for years.
He finally did it. Newt Gingrich, a Republican.
After losing 2 congressional elections as a moderate, he turned hard to the right and finally won a seat in 1978.
In that last election in 78, he gets a little more blistering, and he connects himself to this burgeoning conservative movement.
I pull the string.
He was a new kind of Republican, much more extreme than the pragmatic Reagan, believing that politics was an all-out, quote, war for power.
He is brash, he is loud, he is outspoken, he is a disruptor.
Gingrich led an upstart conservative training ground for candidates called GOPAC.
We are in the business of inventing a new era,
where he preached a militant new vocabulary of politics known as Newtspeak, calling Democrats not just opponents, but criminals and traitors.
For the Democrats to basically say, not only are we going to rape you, but you have to pay for the motel room, is a bit much.
Mr. Clerk, the Speaker-elect, Newt Gingrich.
By the time he became House Speaker in 1995, Gingrich was primed and ready to achieve his dreams.
I hereby end 40 years of Democratic rule of this House.
Gingrich had the programs of the Great Society in his crosshairs. He zeroed in on the federal budget as his battleground. His adversary? A then floundering Democratic president, Bill Clinton. In 1993, Clinton's health care plan had tanked.
Different dreams.
Then came the '94 red wave in Congress.
2 years into Clinton's presidency, he's struggling.
By 1995, Bill Clinton was very much on the ropes, forced to actually defend the relevance of his presidency.
President Clinton, do you worry about making sure that your voice is heard in the coming months?
The Constitution gives me relevance. The power of our ideas gives me relevance. The president is relevant here.
Meanwhile, Newt Gingrich seemed like the most powerful man in Washington. He went for the jugular, proposing over $450 billion in cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, jeopardizing those programs for the elderly and the poor. Under the plan, Medicare premiums would triple for some people within just a couple of years. Clinton refused to play ball, so Gingrich and his party refused to fund the government, allowing it to shut down.
The government runs out of money at midnight, and a partial shutdown of government services begins tomorrow.
Gingrich's strategy represented an unprecedented act of political warfare at the time, and Bill Clinton called his bluff. 2 government shutdowns totaled a whopping 26 days.
It's a shock. It's an absolute shock to have a government shutdown.
Hundreds of thousands of government workers were furloughed. National parks and museums were shuttered. Applications for passports and even Medicare went unprocessed. Clinton blamed Gingrich.
The American people should not be held hostage anymore to the Republican budget priorities.
Gingrich blamed Clinton.
The fact is, the president needs to recognize that Lyndon Johnson's Great Society has failed.
The Clinton camp had taken an extraordinary gamble, banking on public support for programs like Medicare to win the day.
Their plan would increase premiums. Brick by brick, it would dismantle Medicare as we know it.
Republicans believed that the politically weak Clinton would cave.
Republicans think the public will blame the president. That's how things work.
But Clinton was right. Polling data showed that America.
Okay, y'all. So I'm going to have to end this now to get ready on the other live. Since you guys have actually been enjoying this, I didn't think y'all would want to watch something like secondhand, but I'm glad y'all have been enjoying it. I will get back on here in 2.5 hours. The debate starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, so 8 p.m. my time, which is in 7 minutes. I'm assuming it's going to last an hour. Hour and a half, maybe, depending. So I will get back on here in 2.5 hours if you guys would like to continue watching it. I hope you guys have taken something from it so far. I already added the link in my bio. So if you go to where all my links are, it's like literally one of the first ones on the top left. That'll be there so you can click and watch this recording. It is a screen recording, but you guys don't seem to care, which I'm glad about, because I was like, I don't have another way to get this for free. And I didn't realize there was this little thing showing in the bottom corner. I thought it was invisible. So anyways, y'all are wonderful. If you'd like to get on the live of my debate, it'll be on the Shade Room's TikTok page. So it should pop up once I accept their live. But if you can't find it, just type in the Shade Room on TikTok. Say a prayer for me, because I'm apparently debating a Black Trumper. Did not know that's who it was going to be. So we shall see. I'm just trying to teach people about the economy and politics. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, okay. I will come back on here in a little bit. I will see y'all and I'll come back and restart this then. Peace. Bye, lovelies.